Hey y'all. Okay, y'all, this is crazy. There is another, and I say another, funeral home who has given a family the wrong ashes, okay, the wrong remains. This is in Clayton County, Georgia, at Spear Shelton Funeral Home. A family went and her mother died. The lady's mother died. She took, they left this funeral home in charge of handling the services and the remains. And once again, we've got another funeral home who has done something else. They've given her the wrong remains. So it looks like there's going to be another funeral home under, very, very close investigation with the police, possibly the FBI. We don't know. We'll have to see what happens. It's just so sad. It's just terrible because, like I always say, when these things happen, it's bad enough that someone has lost their loved one. It's bad enough that they have to go through the grieving process, of losing the loved one and, handling the remains and funeral services and all of that. But then it makes it so much worse when they have received the wrong remains and they really have someone else's family member and they don't know where theirs is. Or, now it's just like, why did I get someone else's? Who did they get? It never adds up, okay? So this article was published yesterday. No, I'm sorry, 2 days ago. Sorry, I've been losing track of my days, dates, everything. I've been so busy. But it says, family says they've received wrong ashes during memorial service. A Clayton County family and their legal team are trying to find out how the wrong ashes were delivered to the family. It happened weeks before they were notified something was wrong and leaves questions regarding what's believed to be another person's unclaimed remains. Patricia Bradley, 69, died in September after a battle with Alzheimer's disease. Prior to her death, Bradley's daughter, Regina Wynn, served as her caretaker in their Jonesboro home. On September 29th, Bradley's remains were delivered to the family shortly before their scheduled memorial service through Spear Shelton Funeral Home in McDonough. But 2 weeks later, Wynn said she received a call from Southern Regional Medical Center in Riverdale, where a representative asked Wynn when Bradley's body would be claimed. I said, I have my mom's ashes. What are you talking about? Wynn recalled. If they hadn't have contacted me, I would still believe that was my mom. In a Christmas Eve news conference at the Northeast Atlanta law offices of the C.K. Hoffler firm, attorney C.K. Hoffler brought out a heavy unmarked box that Spear Shelton Funeral Home has identified as Bradley's remains. This is more than just a mix-up. This is more than just negligence. This is unexcusable, Hoffler said. Channel 2 investigative reporter Nicole Carr traced the story back to McDonough Monday and reached funeral director Edwin Shelton by phone. I thought I had the correct remains, Shelton told Carr. That's all that was. I ain't did nothing wrong, and I ain't got nothing to argue about. Shelton said he sent cremation services of Atlanta to the hospital, and they returned the remains before the funeral service, confirming them as Bradley's. He told Carr he didn't have a written transaction of the exchange and didn't know anything was wrong until Bradley's family received the call from the hospital. Shelton said he then sent his own guy to pick up Bradley's body and have it cremated. After the crematory service told him they don't do hospital pickups. Shelton didn't have dates for the transaction when Carr asked about the timeline, and Hoffler confirmed the law firm had yet to see any documentation of the transactions. The crematory messed up everything, Shelton said. But Carr got a very different account from the Conyers-based crematory when she reached his president by phone a short time later. Reached his president by phone a short time later. Mike Boston said he didn't deliver unmarked ashes to Shelton, and he didn't even receive authorization to cremate Bradley until October 11th. That's the same time Wynn received the call from Southern Regional Medical Center to claim the body, and the same time Shelton sent someone to sign for the body. How is it that he could give the family anything when he knew for a fact he hadn't even picked her up from the hospital? Boston asked, noting concern for the family involved. Boston said Shelton then signed for Bradley's carefully marked remains at 11:54 a.m. on October 16th, weeks after her memorial service. He said the double-marked remains were tagged according to state regulations. Boston read from the disclosures signed by Shelton and said he'd be willing to release the documents with the permission of the family, citing privacy concerns. At the time of the morning press conference, Hoffler said she was not even aware of the third-party crematory involvement when presented the information. Carr wasn't able to reach Shelton again after the initial conversation, when he also confirmed that now in possession of Bradley's remains. He agreed to speak to the incident on camera after the holiday. Southern Regional Medical Center also released a statement noting protocol was followed when the Spear Shelton Funeral Home signed for Bradley's body. No date was noted in the statement. They can come right over and get them, Shelton said, noting he had already offered a family a full refund on the discounted service after they realized the mix-up. But Shelton was not able to say whose remains he had passed along to the family, noting he tried to swap ashes with the attorneys who are keeping the evidence for discovery in a planned lawsuit. The attorneys said they wanted to get out the story in hopes someone may recognize their loved one involved in the remains mix-up, and to warn others of the Bradley family story. They would probably do anything just not to live this nightmare, Hoffler said. The holiday is very difficult for me and my family, and right now we are devastated, said Wynn. It's terrible, and like they say, it's inexcusable. Like, there's no excuse for this whatsoever. You can say all day long, oh, I haven't done anything wrong. Oh, I made a mistake. I mixed up the ashes on accident. First of all, you do something wrong when you make that mistake of mixing up the wrong one's remains. That is beyond negligence, because how do you not know whose remains you're giving to a family? That's what I don't get. So there's something 9 times out of 10 way more sinister going on at this funeral home, just like the other ones. Okay? And they all claim they've done nothing wrong. Oh, it was a mistake. Oh, they didn't know. Well, if that really is the case, which I'm sure that it's not, but if that is the case, then, you need to pay more attention to what you're doing, because this is something that is not, this is not a light, just an okay situation. This is someone's family member. And when you become a funeral director, or a cremator, when you become anyone who is handling a body, who is handling the deceased, I don't care what it is, you need to have respect for this body, for the deceased loved one of someone else. It's just terrible how these remains are being handled, and how the families of the loved ones are being handled. Okay, sorry, I had to plug up the computer so it didn't die. But, you know, it's just, it is so wrong what they are doing. And this is the lady, this is the woman's mother, okay, Regina Wynn, who they say that they gave her, you know, they gave her ashes. Her name is Patricia Bradley. This is Patricia Bradley right here. And it is just, I mean, I just don't understand how anyone could be so careless. But like I said, I don't believe that this was a mistake. You know, and I mean, that's what I believe. You know, and everyone is entitled to their opinion. I just don't believe that, you know. Just makes no sense to me. How anyone could be so, just so heartless. You know, I mean, what if this was their loved one? I guess they wouldn't care either. All they care about is money. That's it. Just money. So here, I'm going to show this to y'all. Let's see. This is the video from the news, so I'm going to turn my mic off and let y'all listen to this.
Cremating their mother. A local family wants answers after finding out they were from a funeral home in charge of cremating their mother. A local family wants answers after finding out they received the wrong remains from a funeral home in charge of cremating their mother. Channel 2 investigative reporter Nicole Carr is live at Southern Regional Hospital in Clayton County. And Nicole, that's where the woman's body was being held.
Well, what we unraveled today by contacting everyone involved is her path to cremation. Information. Well, what we unraveled today by contacting everyone involved is her path to cremation. Information the family and their attorneys knew nothing about when we met them this morning.
This holiday is very difficult for me and my family, and right now we are devastated.
Patricia Bradley's family memorialized her in September after the 69-year-old's battle with Alzheimer's disease. It wasn't until 2 weeks later that a phone call from Southern Regional Medical Center set off the story we unraveled Monday.
If they hadn't contacted me, I would have still believed that that was my mom.
The hospital called to ask when Bradley's body would be claimed.
I said, I have my mom's ashes. What are you talking about?
That's when they realized that whoever or whatever is in this unmarked box is not their mother.
This is more than just a mix-up. This is more than just negligence. This is not ordinary negligence. This is inexcusable.
We left Bradley's family and their attorneys on Christmas Eve to trace this back to Spear Shelton Funeral Home in McDonough, where we reached the funeral director, Edwin Shelton, by phone.
And I thought I had the correct prename. That's all that was. I ain't did nothing wrong, and I ain't got nothing to argue about.
Shelton says he sent another company, Crematory Services of Atlanta, to the hospital, and they returned the remains, verbally confirmed them to be Bradley's, and the memorial service went on. He told me he didn't have a record of the transaction and didn't know anything was wrong until Bradley's family got that call from the hospital.
The crematory messed up everything.
But we also got in touch with Crematory Services of Atlanta. They told us they never picked Patricia Bradley up.
No, ma'am. Miss Bradley was delivered to our crematory by a representative of Spear Shelton.
The crematory says they weren't even authorized to cremate and send the ashes back until 2 weeks after Bradley's memorial service, and Shelton signed for them at that time.
How is it that he could give the family anything
when he knew for a fact they hadn't even picked her up from the hospital.
Now, the crematory says those remains were clearly labeled and not in anything that resembled that box that you saw there in the law office. Now, before we got that part of the story, we confirmed with Shelton that he does have Bradley's remains at the funeral home and has tried to swap them out with the law office, but they're keeping them there as evidence until they can figure out who or what is in that box right now, something they hope this story can help with as they prepare for a lawsuit. Meanwhile, the hospital here released a statement this week saying they followed protocol when they released Bradley's body. We're live in Clayton County. Nicole Carr, Channel 2 Action News.
It's just terrible. You know, my condolences go out to this family, you know, for the loss of her mother and their loved one, you know, but not just that, for everything that they have to go through now. I mean, this is just terrible, and I'm just so sick of seeing this. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Leave your comments and feedback below. If y'all would like to send me anything, you can do so on my email, or you can add me on Facebook and send whatever you like through there. If y'all have not subscribed to my other channel, please click on the link down below. Subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Till the next time I talk to y'all, have a wonderful day, and I love y'all.